So none of us actually know when the Fallout 76 beta is coming out. Of course, people internally at Bethesda know, but I really have been speculating or thinking quite heavily about this over the past few days. And the reason for that is I was planning to go away for the 4th of July or that 4th of July weekend to actually travel. And if the beta comes out, I'm going to be pretty disappointed if I do so. To say the least, I am deciding not to travel because I think it might be pretty likely that the beta for Fallout 76 comes out around the 4th of July, or more specifically maybe first on Xbox One for the 4th of July and then everywhere else on July 7th. And I'll kind of break down why exactly I think that. So right off the bat, if you guys don't know, yes, there's a beta coming to Fallout 76. The way you get access to the beta is actually to pre-order the game, and we know it's going to be a timed exclusive on Xbox One, meaning it'll come out first on Xbox One, then on PS4 and PC. We have no idea how long that timed exclusivity will be, but I would guess a few days, maybe 2 to 3 days earlier on Xbox One. I can't imagine it'll be a full week because betas typically are fairly short term. Betas in and of themselves rarely last a full 7 days, so for something to come out a week ahead of time, that would be a pretty big deal, and I think it's pretty unlikely. We know Fallout 76 is coming out on November 14th of 2018, so realistically with this beta, they want to have quite a few months in between the beta endpoint and the actual release date of this game. In addition, they're actually calling it the Break It Early Test Application, aka the beta. And something Todd Howard said during the E3 conference is the beta is really meant to break the game, to push those servers to the limits, so when the game comes out, we're not going to have those same problems. You'll actually be able to just play on release day. We'll see whether or not that pans out, but either way, it's a good mentality to have. I think there's a few things you could take away from those two factors. First and foremost, you need a decent amount of time in between the end of the beta and the release date, so I think that pushes things up a few months. And then of course that couples with the fact that a lot of people have off during the summer. If you're a teacher, if you're a student, or just in general, people tend to take a lot of their vacation time over the summer. There's going to be a much wider audience or larger audience over the summer months compared to September or October. Those two factors in my eyes come together to definitely make a summer beta extremely likely. But then when in summer? That's the next really big question. And I think soon. I think in the next few weeks we are going to get the beta for Fallout 76, of course first on Xbox One and then on the other platforms. And I'd say that's largely because if you guys don't know, the beta codes are going out. A lot of people do have their beta codes right now, and why would they give them to you so freaking early? I actually think this is a really curious or odd approach, because if the beta really is just going to be in July, why not just announce that at E3 when you have so many eyes on the game? But Bethesda actually does do weird things like this all of the time. They wait till like the last minute to announce things for whatever reason. And in addition to this, there's actually been a lot of activity surrounding the beta on Bethesda's official Twitter channels, whether that be Bethesda Game Studios, the actual Fallout Twitter, or even the Bethesda store, which just yesterday confirmed that beta codes would be going out. So even though some places like Amazon were sending out beta codes within 48 hours of your first order, Bethesda's store had a big batch go out only just yesterday. So when you take all of that information and then some of the parallels, Reclamation Day in Fallout 76 is said to be July 4th, like July 4th, 2102 in that game. July 4th is a huge national holiday and only a few days away from right now. And then beyond that, July 6th or 7/6 is also very soon thereafter. I'm going to wager that 7/6 is actually probably a bit more likely. I don't know if they really want to have employees in the office on July 4th. I'm not sure they're even allowed to do that. But 7/6, the Friday of 4th of July weekend, seems like a prime time to have a beta come out. There's going to be a lot of people with a lot of free time that can really break those servers. So in conclusion, I'm not going to go on vacation for July 4th. Maybe I'm wrong about all of this. Again, this video is pretty much all speculation, taking all of the things we know about the beta and putting them together to reach the conclusion I'm reaching, which is, yeah, it's probably coming out in the first week of July, and I'm personally not going to travel as a result. If it doesn't, I'll be a little ticked off, but you know, it is what it is. Obviously, none of this is confirmed, but if my hypothesis is correct, then we will get a confirmation in the next week or so, because they want to let people know the beta is coming. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video, but before we end things off, we actually have today's psychology fun fact of the day. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Again, it's largely speculation based. I have no idea know when Fallout 76's beta is coming out, and again, no one else really does, as I kind of preface this video with, but my best guess is in July, or the first week of July. But then we have today's psychology fun fact of the day, and this one I would say is particularly interesting. So there's a study coming out of Radboud University, I might be pronouncing that wrong, it's a university in the Netherlands, and they recently published this paper looking at the effects of stress on very young children and then people in their teens. It's a longitudinal study, so more or less that means it's actually looking at the same group of kids over many years, but it also kind of means maybe take some of these findings with a grain of salt. With longitudinal studies, they typically take many years to complete, like 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So typically it's much harder to actually recreate these findings because it's going to take 30 years of research to actually figure out if people get the same results as this study. Not to say that it's not true, but just something to keep in the back of your head. So more or less what this study found was actually people ages 0 to 5 experiencing stress, so let's say the divorce of a parent or just living in maybe a bad neighborhood where you see bad things going on, leads to that child actually maturing faster, so they're going to just act older at an earlier age. I mean, I feel like this is something that you probably see pretty regularly. Kids that are particularly independent or just show signs of actually just acting a lot older than their age would suggest. So specifically, the two factors they were looking at are negative life events or negative influences from the social environment. Negative life events such as, again, divorce or maybe a death in the family, those during childhood, so ages 0 to 5, led to faster maturation. Is that the way you say that? Maturation? But on the flip side, when you had negative influences from your social environment at age 14 to 17 years, that actually led to slower maturation. So take a typical high schooler who has maybe low self-esteem or gets bullied in school, that's going to lead that person to maturing slower. And in some cases, they found that those people that were having negative social factors at age 14 to 17 developed some symptoms of APD or antisocial personality disorder, which isn't necessarily what you think of. It's not the typical antisocial schema that you have in your head. It's more of like a disregard for the feelings of others, almost like being a sociopath. I personally found this really interesting. I'll have a link to a little write-up on the university's website as well as the actual scientific article itself if you guys want to read through it and actually look at their method and results explicitly. But otherwise, that's going to wrap it up for this video. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.